In our social media posts and our blog, we often use the phrase living off the land. I think for a lot of people that conjures images of a giant homestead in Montana with acres of vegetables and a private forest to hunt and fish on, but our reality couldn't be further from that. I think it'll come as a surprise to some of our followers that we actually live in the heart of the Rust Belt in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, on a small suburban lot, and all of our foraging, fishing, and hunting is done on public forests and city parks around us. We don't personally believe that you need to live on a picturesque farm to be connected to the land, and we actually find that to be a damaging viewpoint that presents a connection with nature as unattainable to most people. The current mainstream understanding of how humans relate to nature is that human civilization and the natural world are separate and diametrically opposed. Sylvan and I are of the school of thought that human civilization is actually a part of nature and we will always have an impact on it. The separation approach leads to cities being written off as ecologically unimportant wastelands, while pristine natural areas are siloed off as museums where humans can go to visit nature. We don't think that this is healthy for us or those natural places because the idea that humans are somehow disconnected from our ecosystem is what allows us to over-extract resources and contaminate the very thing that gives us life. The places on Earth that hold the most biodiversity are not always national parks devoid of human beings, but they're often places where indigenous communities have lived and stewarded the land for generations. In our hometown of Pittsburgh, the massive rivers around us once held enough fish to support entire communities. Over the years, industrial pollution has rendered the fish in them hazardous to eat, and the primary use of the rivers now is to shuffle around coal barges. Sylvan and I personally have not written off this land, and we find it incredibly beautiful and full of life and resources. Some of the places that we hunt, fish, and forage are far outside of town and less impacted by the city, but others are right in city parks and industrial ruins that have been reclaimed by the forest. We're always careful about what we harvest in these places because the heavy metals left behind by industry can be a concern, but if you avoid foraging for things like roots and leafy greens, you can generally feel safe. We're currently doing a little bit of hunting in a local land trust that's about 20 minutes from our house. And while this place isn't anybody's idea of a pristine wilderness, we really get a lot out of it. You know, there's an old pipe factory down here that's been shut down for decades, and because they've protected this area for so long, it now provides habitat for all kinds of wildlife, plants, and fungi. And we actually derive a significant portion of the food that we eat throughout the year from this place. So it's not really the place that you're going to come take your Instagram pictures of, Yosemite waterfalls, but it does have a huge value, especially for people who live like us in this area. We personally believe that if more people valued these less than perfect places, we would be a little bit more inclined to protect them and make our cities and suburbs areas of ecological abundance that enable anyone to have a connection with their land, which we think we all deserve. Even if the small park in your neighborhood has some trash thrown around, you can still value it for the plants, fungi, birds, mammals, and people that it supports. Your city park might not be as beautiful as Yosemite, and you might only have a small raised bed instead of acres of vegetables, but whether you know it or not, we're all living off the land, so let's act like it.